Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Let's see, Lola Love, thank you so much for being here first. Hello to Judy Mutassid, B. Martin, Mary H. Anastasia's here, Paula Girl, Diana Hawkins, Dansbeat One, Lady T, Ann Grumley, Lydia Washington, and MJB. Uh, and let's see, did I say Mary H? I think so. Gwendolyn Daniels, Carol Lunn, and okay. All right, just the end part. I can hear you. I can hear you. I love that. Do you know it just absolutely never ever gets old to me. That part where it sounds like the harps are playing, I'm like rolling back and forth in the chair like I'm pulling the strings on a harp. Listen, you could hear it. I love that. That is like one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. I just love that the way it's all orchestrated and everything. It just always puts me in a good mood. Um, and then I just come on and blow everything. Anyway, congratulations for the 46,000 subscribers. I was out running an errand, so I missed the rollover. I tried to take a picture of those zeros, but that's okay. So long as we got there, plus 29 subscribers. So long as we get there, that's all that matters. So, yeah, thank you very much. Let's see, Brown Girl 48. Thank you for 19 months membership. And also for the very kind person who sent me the Cash App. Thank you, MR, and thank you so much for being here and supporting Royal Sussex. And let's see, Anita Macbeth is here, Kathy G. I could pretty much buy that whole thing except for that. Well, actually, I know what the truth is, but you don't know what the truth is. A handsome virgin. It could happen. A handsome virgin. I made it through the wilderness. Somehow I made it through like a virgin. Hey, touch for the very first time like a virgin. Feel your heartbeat next to mine. Um, I just thought about the lyrics. It is kind of dodgy, isn't it? Anyway, that was a great song. I like Madonna. Get into the groove. Let me see. Oh, thank you, MJB. 46,000. Yeah. Go figure. How did that happen? It just seemed like, well, I tell you what, over the past month, there's been like over 2,000 new subscribers. That helped a lot. Um, oh man. Okay, so let's get into it. Maybe we can get out of here in an hour. That would be a pleasure, right? We'll see what happens because we were on way too long yesterday. Okay, so oh, all right, that's what I'll do. Okay. I was trying to figure out what am I trying to do. I just wanted to take my face out of the corner there. So, was leaving the right thing to do? Was leaving the right thing to do? So, every so often, amongst all the other stuff they regurgitate at the Royal Rota and all the things that are regurgitated on some of those awkward little talk shows and um, or people may sometimes tweet, but mostly it's the royal rodents that are up to the mischief. If Meghan would have just stayed, if Meghan would have stayed, if she could have just hung in there a little bit longer, we wasn't through abusing her yet. If she could only have stayed a little longer, I mean, after all, it was good enough for Kate. Well, when you have recruited Meghan's father and her sister, and then the big elephant in the room, the racial component, all of those things, and especially, let me tell you something. Um, I believe both Sussexes are on board with this thing that I'm about to say. You're not going to have access to my children so you can go after them too. I don't think so. So you can other my children. Now, Harry has spoken out um, quite a few times about how the institution, um, well, let's just say Spare. Spare was about the perils of being in that institution. And I've even recalled Charles Spencer saying that they were typecasting him. They had put him, they said they were going to cast him in a role. You could either help us write the story or we will write the story without you. Do you all remember that in one of those documentaries where he said out of his mouth? And one thing I'll say about Charles Spencer, he doesn't have much of a filter. I don't know him to be a liar. He said that you will either help us write the story or we will write the story without you. Either way, right? So that is what someone representing the tabloid media told him. And of course, he did not want to be in on it. So they made the story of their own. So that is one of the things that they do. You could either go along with it or just sit back. We'll tell your story in a way that we feel it should be told, and you can't do anything about it. So that is a typical ploy of the tabloid media. Okay. Now, do you guys know about Andrew Fierce? Have you guys heard of Andrew Fierce? He's a royal rodent. Andrew Fierce with those unbelievable contoured cheekbones. Yes, with that very, shall we say, youthful hairline and that those cheekbones that just won't quit. The last time I saw cheekbones like that was Liberace. Well, it seems as though Andrew Pierce, not actually Fierce, but girlfriend and found themselves in a spot of bother. Somehow, there seems to be almost a Wooten-esque type of escapade going on. Okay, I'm trying to figure out the neatest way I can do this, a way which won't cause me any trouble. I don't want to get in a spot of bother, and a way that, of course, will not will not come out vulgar or disparaging. Oh, Audrey Teschner, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you for being part of that 46,000 subscribers. Greatly appreciate it. So, how do I say this? Okay. I've been trying to figure out how do I explain this. Have you ever heard of a secret handshake? Have you ever heard of a secret handshake? Right? Well, a secret handshake is a handshake that is known only to a certain select group of people. Usually, when you're in some organization, a men's club, a guild, or some type of organization where you have your own rituals and customs, well, apparently, either Andrew Pierce neglected to inform people that there was a secret handshake, or he just made up one and didn't care if they knew what the secret handshake was. So he didn't care if they knew what the secret handshake was, allegedly. So, of course, everybody has a right to their privacy, except for Harry and Meghan. Everybody has a right to proceed without being judged, unduly judged, except for Harry and Meghan, right? So we can't judge him by the accusations that have been made. We should assume that there is no merit to it until we find out otherwise. But there are some people more intelligent than myself and more resourceful than myself that is looking into it as we speak. So, in the meantime, if you encounter a middle aged man with cheekbones that seems too good to be true, as a matter of fact, kind of reminds me of Madonna a bit. Madonna's cheeks are tremendous right now. But yeah, so just be careful. So I think that back in the 40s, there may have been a movie made about such a situation. And it was called Andrea Fierce. Yes, it was called Andrea Fierce. It was about a single mother had recently divorced, and and somehow she found herself responsible for raising her daughter and trying to keep a roof over their head. It was called Andrea Fierce. You probably remember that movie starred none other than Joan Crawford. But Andrea was a spunky, outspoken, hardworking. Of course, in one version of the movie, Andrea was a reporter for a tabloid news channel and newspapers, and generally did not like certain members of the royal family. Whereas the other one, starring Joan Crawford, Mildred Pierce, Mildred baked chickens and pies and stuff and opened up a chain of restaurants. But either way, there was certain qualities of the characters that was interchangeable. They went from the masculine to the feminine, from the masculine to the feminine, in short order, as a matter of fact. So, oh, Mary H., have you heard about the secret handshake? Yes, it's a secret handshake. Well, the hard part is when you go to reach out and shake hands, it's important not to get confused about what you're reaching for. So, but there's the secret handshake, a custom. Maybe it's just something that's only known in GB News. I don't know. But the thing is, one by one, all of them are falling down. They all are being called out. They're all being their lives are being interrupted uh, by their own characters. You know what I mean? Their own shortcomings. They tend to put their own foot in their mouth or shake the wrong hand or whatever. But anyway, I would say, why don't you just rent Andrew Fierce or Mildred Pierce? But I think the parallels might go over your head, so don't worry about it. But oh, see, there's Mildred Pierce with Joan Crawford, and there's Andrea Fierce with Andrew Pierce. See, Mildred Pierce, and of course Andrea Fierce. So all I can say is there's a lot of masculine yet feminine energy going on, where the characters where the characters are interchangeable. So yeah, well, you'll just have to wait and see if they don't have something in the byline times. They tend to. In the meantime, I'll let you go ahead and Google that and see what you can come up with. And again, it seems to have started with a misguided handshake or some type of greeting that seemed rather confusing to a couple of people. Um, the last time I heard something like that, remember that guy, Stavanovich or whatever his name is down there in Australia? Remember the guy from that Australian news channel, that morning show, the ones where they're always bashing the Sussexes. And it seems like he was at a party and also tried to shake someone's hand, and it went astray. And next thing you know, he was on television. He even brought his biological daughter on television so people wouldn't think he was that way, allegedly. Um, of course, it was a tactic. I thought it was really tacky to bring his daughter on television, by the way, but that's what he did. He was trying to show the viewers that he was a family man, that he was very family orientated. So, yeah, he also seemed to try to do a secret handshake, and things got so confused. So, anyway, the story will come out. I can't wait for it. In the meantime, I'm just gonna have to go and rent that movie. So, because it was a good movie. If you haven't seen Mildred Pierce, it is a film noir masterpiece, and it's the movie where Joan Crawford won the Oscar award for Best Actress. Um, so yeah, she won that year. I think it was 1948. Was it the post-war America? And yeah, she won. So I'm not saying this Fierce. I'm not saying Fierce will win, but Pierce won, not Fierce. Well, Mildred Pierce, not. Well, anyway, you'll figure it out. Um, let me see. Okay, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I'm looking at some of the comments. Oh, he forgot the teacher's request to. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, Diane Hawkins. That's one way to put it. Yeah, that's one way to put it. Oh, man. I was not surprised, though. I was not surprised. Um, yeah, I don't know. It must be something in the water over at GB News. It must be something in the water. Of course, sometimes they appear on Good Morning Britain too. So, but it must be something in the water. Oh yeah, Carl Stefanovic, Australian deadbeat commentator trying to emulate Pierce Morgan. Yeah, he's trying to be another Pierce Morgan. Well, anyway, he was at a wedding or something like that, and one of the wait staff said that something had happened. Of course, it's all an accusation. Um, Nothing's been proven that I've heard of. But next thing you know, he was on TV and it was like bring your daughter to work day, except there was no bring your daughter to work day. It was I need some cover because things are going bad day. So his daughter had to come in to show people that he's, a real man. Yeah. So there you go. Anyway, couldn't have happened to a nicer person. I hope that Andrea Fierce will think about this while she's sitting up there thinking of nasty things to say about our faves. So, in the meantime, I will wait and I will watch. But I tell you, Christmas has come early again, hasn't it? Christmas has come early. Yep. Look at those cheekbones. I can't get over. Even Joan Crawford doesn't have cheekbones like that. Look at there. Lovely very delicate cheekbones. I have to tell you. Real cover girl. Oh boy. I have a wild imagination, right? I'm having too much fun with this. Okay, so let's get on to the main thing, shall we? The contrast here is astonishing. Meghan could be sitting at a state dinner with a tiara on her head and speaking to world leaders. Now she's lucky to get a box seat at a hockey game, trying to take the focus off problems with her husband's failed Invictus charity. How pathetic. Um, it's interesting that they would say that, seeing that we've had the biggest Invictus game ever, right? I mean, this was just the biggest. But let me go on to the other person here. Catherine has a new tiara. It was supposedly last seen on the Queen Mother in 1930s. I'm sorry, in the 1930s. You effed up. What is that? Grifter. I hope you enjoy your box wine and hockey game while the Duchess of Wales attends the state dinner with wine that was probably flown in from Italy. Hmm. Um, where do I begin? I suppose it would be useless to say that it's not like Meghan has never spoke to a world leader before. I mean, there she is with Ban Ki-moon, who I believe is from Korea. Um, it says here, while most become starstruck an by A-list actors, you'll only see me in awe of leaders affecting change, politicians and diplomats. Madeleine Albright, United Nations Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon, these are my heroes, these are my celebrities. And that apparently was a quote from Meghan Markle before she became the Duchess of Sussex. So that is what I wanted to talk about a little bit tonight, is this idea that somehow Meghan is missing out on something because she's not one of those people sitting at that gleaming table with some glittering relic on her head, comprised of stolen jewels and minerals from other places like gold or platinum or whatever it is. No, she was at a hockey game. And ironically, the contrast could not be uh, more different uh, or a greater contrast than those two things. Meghan living her best life with her husband at a sporting event and also making time to visit with some women at a not for profit that she's met before in 2020. Whereas Kate finds herself today scrambling about trying to find a women's group so that she can show people that she's not just a show horse, but that she's a workhorse. She was the one scrambling today, not Meghan. Meghan could relax and be comfortable and confident that she is living her life the best way you can, especially for a royal princess, which she still is. She is doing service, universal service, not being paid for it, which is pretty much what they had planned at the compound over there. Um, and otherwise, she's doing what she's been doing since she was a child. Do they have any idea how young Meghan was when she was protesting the war in Iraq? She had enough of a conscience to realize that, what was it, a friend of hers whose brother was deployed could find himself in harm's way for an unnecessary war. There are not a lot of us who can say we physically went out and protested the war in Iraq. There are some people who gave it lip service, like myself, but I didn't take to the streets. But Meghan did. This is who she is. Meghan wrote to people like Madeleine Albright and eventually met people like Madeleine Albright. Wrote to Hillary Clinton, eventually met Hillary Clinton, among others. Those are her heroes, not sitting at a banquet table or, oh, I'm sorry, a state dinner table wearing a tiara that hasn't been seen since what, the 1930s, which to me is an indication that the tiara that you were allowed to wear was something that was given to you by the queen consort for the to borrow for that night, and that you couldn't wear anything nicer than what she was wearing. Understand? That is what that means. It means that you were issued, you didn't select, you were issued a tiara that looks like something that you would put together after a visit to the hobby shop or the hobby store, whatever that place is, or Michael's. It looks like someone went to Michael's and bought some craft pieces and hot glued it together. Didn't look like much at that, but I'm sure if she had it her way, she would have wore one of those fringe tiaras or something, but she wasn't allowed to, just like she was not allowed to wear a tiara on Coronation Day, lest people should confuse who's the star attraction. It's not you. You'll have to wait. So you have that going on. Let's see. I guess she wasn't speaking to diplomats at the United Nations. Exactly, Legs. She was at the United Nations because she heard they had a nice cafeteria. She wasn't there for the world leaders. She heard that they had a nice cafeteria. She was there for the Jello mode. Yeah, that's it. She was there for the Jello mode. Of course, she's been speaking to world leaders for much longer than Kate has. Thank you so much for that, Legs. But yeah, so that is what the derangers are trying to trend, is that somehow Meghan has made some terrible mistake. And of course, they started a little late this year with the Christmas thing. They usually start sooner, but they've already started the will they or won't they come for Christmas. And now I guess it's decided that they are not coming for Christmas. I guess someone from the palace must have sent word, please do not cause us embarrassment again by having the Sussexes issue an official statement from one of their spokespeople. This time they just let it go early. So and that's good for them because otherwise they're the ones that will look really foolish when the Sussexes say there was no invitation or we wasn't planning to go anyway. So either way, it's much to do about nothing. High official Lauren Brown says they want there to be something wrong with Invictus so badly. It's not a cute move. Invictus helps so many people. Yeah, they have been trying to trash Invictus. I guess they figure they waited a sufficient amount of time away from Invictus to start trashing it. They tried to trash it leading up to Invictus, and then of course now that we're months out from Invictus, they're trying to wind it up again. Maybe they are assuming that the winter games will not be as interesting or as exciting as the summer games. Um, and there's usually less enthusiasm for the Winter Olympics than it is for the Summer Olympics. However, I believe that over time, the Winter Olympics grew in popularity. And you're dealing with Canada, right? If anybody knows how to get through a winter, it's the Canadians, right? So there will not be a lack of enthusiasm. If anything, there's building enthusiasm for these games. Like, for instance, Harry's appearance with the hockey puck, they had 100 people volunteer overnight. So the excitement is going to build and it is going to be very successful. And leading up to it, they have over a year to get everything in place. Now, the next big thing, which is what I'm sure they're not counting on, but the next big thing that is going to bring attention to the Invictus Games in Vancouver and Whistler, they're going to celebrate 10 years of Invictus in 2024, right? So who knows what type of celebration that is going to be, but they're also going to celebrate that. Now, whether it's a celebration that's big or small, celebration there will be for the 10 years of Invictus. And that is also something that is being planned, if I'm correct. So there's two things going on. They're planning for the Invictus Games in Vancouver and Whistler, and they're also going to celebrate 10 years of Invictus, which of course started in 2014. So there's that going on. So there's a lot that is going to happen by 2025. And all of the negativity in the world is not going to stop this momentum for the Invictus Games. It is helping a lot of people, and as you say, Lauren, that it is sad that they're doing that because it helps a lot of people. They are very wrong for it because it helps a lot of people, and they're not considering the benefits is only part of the, I guess, the strategy of try to tear down the Sussexes any way you can. And who suffers for it? Certainly not Harry and Meghan. I mean, of course, anybody would feel the impact of it, but it's only making them stronger. That's the whole point, is that the more you push against them, the stronger they become, the more popular they become. They don't know enough about Americans, or they pretend, they feign ignorance about Americans, how we feel about the underdog, how we feel about people who fight back, the rebel spirit that is the United States. I mean, we cheer people for their hard work. We cheer people for their success. We don't frown upon it. We don't not talk about money. We always talk about money. This is the United States. We need some measure of success, and one of them is how you doing financially. You don't have to give a number, but you know how you doing. So that is part of our that's the bedrock of our character is fighting back, pushing back. And there's nobody who doesn't get that, not here in the US. So, yeah, they're making a huge mistake by them trying to pin this whole doom and gloom on Harry and Meghan. They're the ones making a mistake. They're really exposing the rest of the family for what they're lacking, not for what they are doing or what they have. I mean, look at Charles right now in trouble. Thank you, Lauren. Let's see. I finally get it. They thought he had a chance to be Mr. Sussex. He wasn't here. Let me see. Okay, okay. Thank you so much, J Matt. I have to be careful when I'm looking at these. Okay, candelabra. Okay. Oh, Leg says, I guess she wasn't speaking to. Oh, okay, yeah, I saw that. I must have went back. Okay, I'm scrolling in the wrong direction. Sorry about that, you guys. Now here's the new one. So Leg says their main problem is when Meghan speaks, people listen. Where Meghan goes, people watch. When you are impactful, your voice and message are heard. Amen to that. Thank you, Legs. Thank you. I'm sitting up here hemming and hawing and stammering, trying to find the words, and you said everything. You encapsulated everything I was trying to say in just a few words. Well done, you. Okay, so, and hey, Mystic Toxin. Oh, that's cool. My husband doesn't care about celebrity stuff whatsoever. Is passively Team Sussex because I told him about Invictus Games and he's from a military family. Very, very cool. And thank him for, well, thank the family for their service. All right. So take a look here. What a contrast. You have the people's royals versus the institution's royals. You have Harry in 2000 and 23 and oh, I'm looking at, well, I'm sorry. You have the Queen in 2002 and Harry in 2023. What a contrast. No matter how you slice it, people just love Harry. Harry has always been the family favorite, and they are intensely jealous. Harry always has been and always will be the favorite in that family. So, yeah, that is one of the contrasts. Let me point out another here. We've seen this before. We have seen this before, except Charles looks disappointed. Charles looks anxious. Uh, Charles looks very sad. But William looks angry. Um, I don't know that I've ever seen Charles outwardly angry, not to the point of alarm when it came to Princess Diana. But William, on the other hand, every time I see William with that glare that he gives to people, including his wife, it kind of gives you a cold chill, doesn't it? It kind of makes you kind of like, I don't know, rub your fingers, lest he should get a hold of them. Uh, I mean, I look at him and I just find myself looking down at my hand. I'm like, let me see, which one do I write with? Uh, you know what I'm saying? I look at him and I look at my hands and I'm like, okay, now which one do I write with? You know what I'm saying? Because just in case I want to know which one to offer so that I'll be able to so I'll be able to write or sign my name or groom myself, if you will. You have to know which hand to offer because I'm so bad. Oh, that's tacky. That's terrible. But I'm being honest. I have to know which hand to offer because if he gets too mad, I don't want him to ruin me. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be prepared to offer the right hand. I can't pretend like I've had an incident at the house too many times. So oh man. But that's not funny. That's not funny. This is very serious stuff. And of course, we've seen it here before, right? I mean, the parallel is astounding. We've seen it before. No doubt about it. They're distracted looking back behind the limousine for some reason rather than speaking to each other. And then you look at William and Kate. William is fooling around with the interior of the car rather than speaking to Kate. I mean, how much clearer can you make this? That they're the ones that are in trouble. Now, they managed to put on a performance inside of Buckingham Palace. That they did. But otherwise, there is a chill between the two of them. And they try to project that onto Harry and Meghan. But it's really their story. They're the ones. And again, the irony of it, it was Korea where things were obviously beyond repair. And then, of course, here comes the state dinner with the Korean president and his wife. And again, it looks like things are beyond repair. Now, they put on a performance inside of Buckingham Palace. They did that. She put her arm around him. He put his arm around her. They made sure the cameras caught it. And then they were, back to their usual standoffish selves. Okay, let me grab this video for you. Now, I'm going to show you Kate speaking to world leaders, right? This is how Kate addresses a world leader.
Reasons Catherine is so popular amongst certain demographics, and I'm going to say older people and men, is because she says absolutely nothing. Yeah. She's a good little girl who keeps quiet and doesn't complain, doesn't do anything, doesn't rock the boat, and is a very traditional, old-fashioned mute woman.
So she had a chance to speak to people at that state visit, right? She had the opportunity.
reasons Catherine is so popular amongst certain demographics, and I'm going to say older people and men, is because she says absolutely nothing. She's a good little girl who keeps quiet and doesn't complain, doesn't do anything, doesn't rock the boat, and is a very traditional, old-fashioned mute woman.
So there you go. There's Kate talking to world leaders. And of course, it would have been impossible for Kate to speak to. There she is in the carriage with the president of South Korea, with her husband, with the first lady of South Korea. And yet there are dozens of photos where Kate is looking out the window and there weren't any words exchanged. Is this part of that communicating with world leaders? When you're assuming that the cameras are not likely to catch you in the middle of conversation, you say nothing. You look out the window. As a matter of fact, when you were in the Bentley, you looked out the window. Now you're in the carriage and you're looking out the window. William is doing his frigid best to have a conversation. It doesn't seem very pleasant. Now, the only thing I could think of is that, as we notice, when Kate emerged from the car, she was showing a lot. And I'm assuming a lot carried over from the car to the carriage. It seems a bit risque in my estimate. It seemed very risque. So is that what the problem is? I'm just asking if we can speculate that Meghan was at a hockey match and she was looking at the Jumbotron trying to see if she was being recorded, then is it fair for me to speculate that Kate and William may have been cross with one another because of the way she emerged from that Bentley? I mean, that's what Richard Eden said. Richard Eden said that Meghan seemed to be at a hockey match looking to make sure that the cameras were on her. He said that on his whatever show. So I feel like it's only fair for me, with such a small audience, to say likewise that I think perhaps Kate and William, probably the problem that they're having at this point, because, as I'm not privileged to their conversation, just like Richard Eden was not at the hockey game, I am just going to make up something, and I'll just make it up that I believe that they were having problems because Kate wore that startling red cloak. She jumps out the car and she's like showing too much leg. She went to a military drill wearing Lululemons, right? It's fair. I think so. I mean, since we're all speculating, I could speculate with the best of them. And I feel like that's the problem. So there she is, the mute woman in a carriage with the president of South Korea. And what is she talking about? Nothing. What is she doing? Looking out the window. But don't forget, they are very happy with one another. They're very happy with one another. It's a gross double standard where they know everything that Harry and Meghan is thinking and feeling and doing. And above that, they know what other people think about them. And yet, we're supposed to pretend, for the convenience of the royal rodents, that this is a match made in heaven. No greater love has there ever been than William and Kate Middleton. No greater love has there ever been. I'm amazed that they haven't made a movie about this. Or have they? Do they have a Hallmark movie? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss something? Let me go. Okay, so why did they splice 2 days footage? She was clearly not wearing the same outfit when she has her hair down and don't have the earrings on. Did they tell her to wear another red outfit the next day? I not okay. I thought that she let her hair down at Buckingham Palace, right? I don't know. It does seem like what she wore in the palace was longer than what she wore emerging from the Bentley. That seems to be true. That's a good point, Legs. I hadn't thought about that, but it does seem like something was spliced together. Um, I mean, there was no reason to not wear the hat indoors. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, and we do know that they are capable of that because if you all remember the Christmas Carol, when Kate was supposedly playing the piano, they made it seem as though Kate got out of her seat and walked over to the piano and started doing that two-finger mambo thing that she was doing. When the truth is, it was recorded on another occasion wearing the same outfit. And what color was that outfit? Red. It may have even been the same red dress that she wore after the hair comes down. So, yeah, that just by coincidence, she was wearing red that night or those nights, those two different nights. So, yeah, but they spliced it together as though Kate got out of her seat without any warm up or anything, like she had just went over and sat at the piano that just happened to be surrounded by candles and started playing. Yeah, I remember that. That was definitely produced on two different occasions. So they do not show it live. Yeah. And they get away with it. They get away with it. If it wasn't for the people on social media asking questions or making comment, then nothing would be said about it. And there would be this pretense that they have Chopin uh, as a family member, right? Or you know, yeah. So thank you, Lex. That's a good observation. I did not really think about that. Hey, Reba Henderson, thank you for that. Let's see. Oh, let me see. Rohini says, "Are Kate's recent antics a way of acting out or trying to break free?" I think it's acting out. I think it's acting out. I think the lack of well, I think the the thing with Singapore, I think that was like a breaking point for them. I think that caused a lot of friction because there's the only way that you could explain the stunt with the leggings or tights or whatever they were. I mean, that seems like that was in response to Singapore. Let's take a look at that. And that you have strong opinions about Kate Middleton's fashion choices and behavior. However, oh, by the way, thank you. All right, let's do that again. This topic with fairness and respect. Fashion choices are subjective, and what may be considered inappropriate or disrespectful by some individuals may not be viewed the same way by others. Kate Middleton, as a member of the royal family, has access to fashion advisors and stylists who assist her in selecting appropriate attire for various occasions. It's also important to note that if the Queen were still alive, she would find this unbecoming of a princess. However, regardless of the status of the Queen, it is not appropriate to make assumptions. As a patron of a military group, it is essential for Kate Middleton to demonstrate appropriate attire and behavior, particularly when interacting with members of the military. While I don't have specific details about the occasion you mentioned, it's reasonable to expect that she should adhere to the dress code set by the military or the organization she represents. As a member of the royal family, Kate Middleton represents the monarchy and engages in various duties and responsibilities. While she may have her own personal style, it is crucial to remember that she is expected to adhere to certain guidelines and protocols. If there were instances where she wore athletic spandex pants inappropriately, it would be best for those responsible for her wardrobe to ensure that she is dressed appropriately for each occasion. However, it's also worth considering that fashion choices can sometimes be subjective, and what one person may find inappropriate, others may perceive differently. Regardless, it is crucial for public figures, especially those associated with the royal family, to maintain decorum and respect when attending official events, as their actions and attire can influence public perception. It is worth considering that public figures, including members of the royal family, are often under scrutiny, and their actions are subject to interpretation. It's essential to approach these matters with an open mind and respect for different perspectives. Tacky and tasteless are terms used to describe something that lacks elegance, style, or good taste. When something is considered tacky, it means that it is considered cheap or gaudy and does not display refinement or sophistication. Tasteless, on the other hand, refers to something that is offensive, crude, or lacking in aesthetic appeal. Both terms are subjective and can vary depending on personal preferences and cultural norms. What one person may find tacky or tasteless, another person may find appealing. It's important to remember that these terms are often used to express personal opinions rather than objective judgments.
Or if it's on a black woman, then it's vulgar. If it's on a white woman, then it's perfectly acceptable. That seems to be a trend with the tabloid media, is that what's acceptable for Kate is vulgar when it comes to Meghan, right? That's the trend I noticed. But yeah, so just a little food for thought. But yeah, Rohini, you may very well be right. Maybe she's just over it. Maybe she's just over it. But um, is that any reason? And I'm not asking you. I'm just saying, rhetorically. Is there any justification for them to target Meghan with this criticism about um, as though she's not working right now, as though she's not doing anything, and that she's not needed or wanted somewhere, that she has no purpose? That is the talking point, is that she doesn't have anything going on. And as far as I'm concerned, if a new mom, or relatively new mom, uh, does something or nothing for whatever period of time that they choose, if they can afford it, that's nobody's business. That is nobody's business. If there's projects in the work that have yet to be announced, that criticism is not going to make those products come out, or should I say, not products, but whatever productions that are in store, they're not going to come out any sooner because you're trash talking them. They're ready when they're ready, and not a moment sooner. But in order to distract from what we're looking at right here, they keep going after the Sussexes. And I cry foul. That is totally unfair. They constantly target the Sussexes because they can't do anything with these two. They're useless. The Earth shot does not help real people. The only people that's being helped by the Earth shot are the people that they select as the prize winners. And also, it helps William build up his global image. But that's it. The people that really need help are not going to be helped because of Earthshot. I don't know of anything so groundbreaking from Earthshot. Earthshot is not the Nobel Peace Prize, and the people that receive those honors, I'll be impressed if any of them ever wins the Nobel Peace Prize. These are people that are hand selected because they have ideas or they have done some type of prototype or whatever to repurpose or to, you know, use renewable energy or something. And that's a good thing. But it's not feeding or housing or clothing anybody in the United Kingdom. It is not cleaning up the waterways in the United Kingdom. It's not getting the mold out of those council households in the United Kingdom. It's not helping any of that stuff. It's a vanity project. You don't even hear the royal rodents get enthusiastic about it because representing the right wing does not allow for you to speak of climate change. You're not even supposed to acknowledge it. It's not supposed to exist. And as for Kate, with the early years and the shaping and all that kind of stuff, again, what is it doing for common everyday folks aside from this exercise of telling us about studies and theories that somebody else has come up with? It's not helping real people. The Invictus Games helps real people. Going to a women's shelter and helping to put a roof on the place, or by going to a women's shelter and it brings attention of the Sussex squad community. Look at how many times we've stepped in. Look at how many times other people have stepped in. People get excited about the charities that the Sussexes get involved with. When the Royals get involved, it barely moves the dial. Nothing really changes. If anything, they go broke. They go broke. So, let me see here. Oh, I saw PDA. I'm on it, Diane. I saw PDA. In the fake PDA red dress photo where Billy is chatting up Sophiesta, who wasn't even there that day, she's wearing a summer dress. Oh, and others, other in the coat. I'm truly convinced their low ego staff hates them. Huh. Okay. So you think this may have been another occasion? Anyway, let me take a look at that slide there. Thank you so much, Diane. That is interesting. How did I miss this? Let's see. The media are stuck because abusing the person abusing the person has worked for years. I was surprised how often the people that Piss Moron abused eventually caved in and gave him an interview. He never met Meghan, yet lies. Exactly. I don't know how they, you know, that that really, really surprises me is that you would allow yourself to be bullied into an interview with Pierce Morgan. Who does that? Not the Sussexes, but who does that? And I think that Meghan was more open to the press in the beginning. And Harry having been a veteran, not only of war, but the veteran of having, been abused by the media, he had to tell her, don't talk to this person, don't talk to that person, don't do this, and don't do that. And I believe part of the hostility comes from the fact that before she married Harry, even before the engagement, it was easier to approach Meghan as a British media person. And then after Meghan found out, I believe Harry, just told her, this happened and that happened. And the whole time Harry was a bit afraid that they were going to drive her away. But she had to learn. She had to learn. There's no way that anybody from the outside looking in could know how awful the tabloid media can be. I believe most Americans, if it wasn't for Harry, if it wasn't for Harry and Meghan, we wouldn't know half of what we know. I've never known the names of so many reporters. I've never known the faces of so many reporters. And now I can look at a column, and as I'm going through the column, I'm just like, wait a minute, who wrote this? Oh, I shouldn't be surprised. Now I know who these people are. I don't even need a scorecard. I know who they are. In some cases, I know way more about them than I ever wanted to know. But know the way of thy enemy, and I had to learn. So I feel like just as much as we've been educated, Meghan's had to learn too. Meghan was more accustomed to the American media where things are not as dodgy as it is over there, but they're very sketchy over there on Salt Island, and you have to have your wits about you, otherwise they will consume you. They will consume you. But Harry knows better, and as much as they thought Harry was a fool, they've learned otherwise, and because of that, they're going broke. I mean, they are breaking them. They are breaking them. The Sussexes, they are breaking the media because the media is being exposed. The tabloid media, for sure, is being exposed in ways that never happened before. And so desperate they are, they're trying to get into the TikToks and into the what do you call it, into the shorts and all that kind of stuff. They're all over social media because the old stuff is not working, so they're trying to adapt. But the beauty of social media is that it keeps changing, it's constantly changing. So they've had to hire people, which is what William and Kate did by hiring that NBC guy. He focuses on the growth on social media. That's why he's there. He's not really an image consultant. He, as much as he's there to help them find place on the social media, on the TikToks and such. That's why he's there. But he's not so much an image consultant. That's an afterthought. Mostly, he can get you through the doors that you want to get through, with mixed results, of course. But thank you so much, Lex. Okay. Wow, interesting topic, isn't it? Now, let me see what that says. Where was I? Here. Wait a minute. How come I don't have that over here? Oh. So that's there. Oh, there it is. Okay, Kate Middleton today doing another PR stunt, encouraging public donations, but she never donates. These girls' facial expressions says it all. They can't stand this fake royal parasite. Hashtag abolish the monarchy. Hashtag Kate. Kate Middleton fails to impress these girls. Know how to spot a fake woman. Yeah. These girls know how to spot a fake woman. And there's something to be said about that, because I recall, I never forget this. I always recall that when Princess Diana went to Harlem, and the lady at the school, or the whatever that place was, she said that they always get VIPs that come through there. They come through, they take their photos, and they're done. But she said instantly when Princess Diana walked through the door, she knew that she was different from everybody else who come to Harlem to take a photo. It was completely different. Everything about Diana was different. It started with, oh, we're wearing the same color, aren't we? So, yeah. People know a phony when they see one. They know a phony when they see one. Oh, you got that right, Lavertha. Always, 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 always. Reba Henderson says they cannot stop talking, focusing or watching everything Meghan does. Meghan is not their timeline. I'm sorry, not on their timeline, rather. She is focused on her work and her family. She is too busy to acknowledge those fools. Whatever project Meghan is coming out with, remember, we waited for the Archetypes, and it knocked Joe Rogan off the #1 position. There are just as many people in the American media and every place else, Canada, South Africa, the Caribbean, wherever, there are just as many people, if not more, that are anxious to see what the Sussexes are doing. And so whatever they announce, whatever project they're working on, is going to do well, because they are very patient and very deliberate about the choices that they make, about the moves that they make. And so, as they say, it is not the appointed time, it is the anointed time. Amen. It's not the appointed time, it's the anointed time. So, they won't be rushed. The media are stuck. Oh, I'm sorry. Where am I going here? Okay. Oh, let's see. Reach Publishing, that owns the Daily Express and Mirror, among the titles are going down because they didn't diversify. But Murdoch is sitting on $7 billion in other assets, so it's harder. Oh, thank you, Lorna Williams. Good point. Good point. They are losing money. They are losing money. And poor Kate, poor Kate. Wherever she is or whatever she's doing, the mean girl is not in a good place. William is not in a good place. But Kate, in spite of those brave showings that she has when she looks like this frigid, icy individual, at other times she looks completely hollow and shattered. This is not someone that is doing so well. This is someone who's in a whole lot of trouble. And the projection on Meghan is just a distraction. They don't want people to see how desperate things have become. It is going to come out one of these days. It is going to come out one of these days. And I'm here for it. I'm not wishing anything bad on anybody, but leave Harry and Meghan alone and deal with your own problems. And if it's the tabloid media that's fueling this, then they need to try to help their principals, because that is their future money. They're not going to make money from Harry and Meghan the way they used to. So you better uplift and support those two, because otherwise you're going to go hungry. There is a story there. And if they tell the story, two things are going to happen. Telling the real story about William and Kate is going to be big news, and it's going to make money for them. And also telling the real story about Willie Leaks and Kitty is going to help them face their problems. They're not going to do anything if they don't have to. They're not going to fix their problems unless they have to. And the only way that they're going to do it is if there's a huge necessity to put things right before it's all gone. So without that sense of urgency, as long as they're hiding behind the Sussexes, nothing is going to get any better. Nothing. So, there's the act right there. Everybody should have a husband. Every woman should have a husband that looks at her like William looks at Kate, right? Or should you have this? I mean, which do you prefer, this or this? Someone who loathes the idea that you're the center of attention, that you're getting by with a pretty smile, or someone who just adores everything you do, is so proud of how well you connect with people, so proud of how talented you are, the multiple languages you speak, all of that stuff. The world leaders you know. The fact that you can go into any situation and be as comfortable as the next person, or more so. I mean, he's met his match in terms of public appeal. She can talk to anybody. Can't say that about those other two. It's always the glare, that glaring look, that impatient, disdainful, hostile look. But the Sussexes have a problem. Invictus is not doing well. Meghan is holding him hostage. He's always angry and upset. She doesn't let him breathe. It's not that, he doesn't want her away from him. It is her that has somehow used those exotic DNAs that she has, those exotic genes. Let me see, where have I heard that before? I think that's what they said about, isn't that what they said about the, what's her name, Wallace Simpson, that she had done something to him? Not that there was anything wrong with the institution, but there was something lacking with him, and that she had learned some things or whatever. Always blame the woman. Always blame the woman. The man could not think for himself. The man could not look at the institution and find that it has, shall we say, problems. No, it's the woman who has led him astray. Even a war hero like Harry has been led astray. Gotta blame Meghan. Kate looks like a sweet potato queen. And Billy's face says he hates yams. Lord have mercy. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, this is from Hillary. Oh my goodness, Hillary Mantel. This is from Hillary Mantel. This was her impression of Kate Middleton. It's not that I think we're heading for a revolution. It's rather that I saw Kate becoming a jointed doll on which certain rags are hung, said Mantel. In those days, she was a shop window mannequin with no personality of her own, entirely defined by what she wore. These days, she is a mother to be and draped in another set of threadbare attributions. Once she gets over being sick, the press will find that she is radiant. They will find that this young woman's life until now was nothing, her only point and purpose being to give birth. Kate seems to have been selected for her role of princess because she was irreproachable, as painfully thin as anyone could wish, without quirks, without oddities, without the risk of the emergence of character, Mantle observed. She appears precision made, machine made, so different from Diana, whose human awkwardness and emotional incontinence showed in her every gesture. So I the end there, um I suppose you could take that a few different ways, but this is what I like to call it, is what they've said about Harry: self-awareness, empathy, motivation, self-regulation, social skills, also known as emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. That's the word of the day. Emotional intelligence. When one has self awareness, empathy, motivation, self regulation, and social skills. Now, sorry, didn't mean to do that. When you look at the Cambridges, the Welleses, you don't see any of that. Self awareness, not really. Empathy, I shouldn't think so. Motivation, they don't like to do anything. Self regulation, not. And social skills, no. No. You don't see any of that when you look at the two of them. It'd be one thing if one of them had that attribute, but you don't get that from either one of them. You look at the both of them, and it is just is scaffolding. Is scaffolding that has been put up because either what was there has fallen apart or it was never finished in the first place. That's what you have. But you don't have presence of mind behind those very glib and hollow smiles. Um, William often speaks as though he has a plane to catch. Let's see. And Kate doesn't speak much at all. Her idea of a successful engagement is sitting at a table and looking down at a piece of paper. And that's it. Never has anyone married into that family that had so little to say to so many. Never. I don't think that anybody has been that short-sighted before. Do I care? Not in the least. But it bothers me that the only way that you can build that person up is to throw your focus on someone who doesn't suffer from that lack of empathy or motivation or self regulation or social skill or self awareness, and try to tear her down so that you can lift the other one up. I mean, Meghan herself said, why is it so important to tear down one so you can lift up the other? I say I cannot stop doing it until they till they stop trying to tear down the other to build up one. When they stop, I stop. I wish I didn't have to say anything. I really do. I would love to just let the Sussexes Sussex and be done with it. But it is not possible when you have a constant attack from an entire media, not just a media organization, but the whole of the British media. In some way, form, or fashion, you've had them attacking two people that don't even live there. They have been away from that country as a married couple far longer than they were there. And yet, every day, up to 40, 50 times a day, there's something that there needs to be said about them because they alone are the key to the destruction of an entire nation of almost 70 million people are at risk because Meghan and Harry went to a hockey game. Meghan and Harry went to a concert. They won't stop using their titles. They're trying to get back into the royal fold so that they can keep their popularity. If being royal is the key to popularity, then what's happening with Will and Kate? Where are all of these supposed followers that they have? It's one thing to go to a let's say a pensioners group in Wales or to some grade school somewhere, and pass out flags and all that kind of stuff. That's one thing. But it's far more difficult to go to a stadium and have everybody cheering you like at the hockey game the other night. The last time that Will and Kate went to a stadium, what happened? What happened the last time the two of them went to a stadium? And they weren't even at home. They were in Boston. The last time they went to a stadium, they were booed. When they asked the players about them, the players, dragged them. They threw them dust. So on the one hand, you have the couple that's in is being booed, and the couple that's on the outside is being cheered. I'm trying to think, where have they gone in the United States where they received a bad reception? Where? Where have they encountered people bristling and gnashing their teeth? Where has that happened? But Will and Kate goes to Boston, and a woman clergy person decides to lecture them about the transatlantic slave trade and colonization. That doesn't happen to Harry and Meghan. But yet they're the ones that are jealous and insecure and in desperate need of that institution in order to maintain their popularity, aren't they? I knew this was going to be a heavy topic, but I just felt like it was time because the past week, it has been one thing after the other with this idea of them not going to Christmas, or they need the royal family. They need that connection to stay popular. No, they don't. They don't know how any of this works over here, or they have that Schofield chick come on television over there lying to them. But surely they know better. They know better than that. This is the U.S. We got a whole family of people that have become billionaires just for getting plastic surgery and going on TV. Remember the Seinfeld, a show about nothing? Well, the Kardashians, they had a show about nothing, and people couldn't get enough of it. I'm not one of those people that criticize the Kardashians. I'm just not. I don't know anything about them. I don't care. The only thing that I know is that they took nothing and made themselves incredibly wealthy. Were they always nice to everybody? But neither was Oprah. I have some problems with Oprah. As much as I defend Oprah, I love Oprah. I'm always talking about Oprah. But, you know, the streets are littered with people who didn't think she was always so nice. But this is the U.S. We're in the United States. And in the United States, you don't have to be perfect, that you worked hard, and that somehow you have been able to use the system to your advantage. That's all people care about. That other stuff, you know, make a donation. All is forgiven. Long as you ain't messing with somebody's children, make a donation. All is forgiven. That's about the only thing you could really do wrong, is messing with somebody's kids or taking somebody's life or something like that. Well, actually, there's all right, but leave people's kids alone and you're good. You are good. That's how it works here. You work hard, you build a life for yourself and your family. Nobody hates you. They're just, people just look at you and be like, now how did you do that? How was that? I thought we're booing Kitty and Peggy. I just let's see. Beverly says someone needs to have them go to re-listen to what Prince Harry said on 4 different interviews about the British media, his book, and the documentary. They're willfully ignorant. The tabloid media is willfully ignorant. They are playing to their base. They're telling people what they want to hear and not how things are. Things are not going to be a certain way because you say. They are only that way because they are. And what they are not is against the Sussexes. The American media has stepped away from the tabloids. They're not welcoming as many of those people on television, right? You know, for a while, the tabloid reporters, they were getting away with speaking with a forked tongue. They were using 2 voices. They had a certain conversation for the US audience, and they had a certain conversation for the British audience. The ones who could not make the transition just don't appear on American television anymore. I just don't see as, you know, the only way I ever saw them was really when it came up on the YouTube feed. I don't see as many of them. I don't see the crisis tone about the Sussexes stepping back from official royal duty. Now it is just a fact. It's not that interesting to discuss it any further. It's just not. When William came to New York, you only had the British tabloids really laying in on the fact that the Sussexes and the Cambridges are not talking. It wasn't the US media, it was the British media that spoke about it endlessly. The US media barely touched on it, if at all. Barely. And it's only going to improve. It's not going to get worse. It's going to get better. It's not interesting anymore. It's really not. because it's only so much of telling the story from the perspective of the. I think after Harry exposed the royal family for their treachery, I think that was the end of that. I really do think that was the end of it. Because unless you're going to be balanced with your coverage, it's not worth talking about. Unless you're going to dig and look into exactly what the royal family has done, maybe it's not worth the conversation. Maybe. Rohini says U.S. tabloids usually only come after you if you do something strange. Harry and Meghan don't do nothing bad. Exactly. Long as you ain't messing with somebody's kids, you ain't took somebody's life. You know what I'm saying? They could care less. We got other stuff to worry about. We actually hold our politicians accountable for a lot of things. We're too busy going after our politicians and not so much into all of that other stuff. You know, I mean, there's certain things that it's just you're asking for it. But you know, we have what, all types of mayhem in the news. We ain't got time to talk about that nonsense. We don't need the distraction. The UK needs to distract themselves from Brexit, among other things. But we don't need to distract ourselves with what's going wrong for the Sussexes. The only thing that did you notice that the US media, they love to talk about, well, we've had a royal visit and such and such and such and such. And I notice that you don't hear them say that anymore with the since they stepped back from royal duty. You don't hear as much of that. It just doesn't happen as much. And I've been noticing that. It just does not happen as much. I haven't heard The View talking about them much lately. I mean, I'm not saying that they haven't, but I have not heard The View. It hasn't popped up on my feed. I'll say that. I haven't heard them going in on the Sussexes lately. So if they have, you have to let me know. I have not seen it. It's not profitable anymore, and it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. Not after Spare and the documentary. The Spare and documentary has done exactly what it was supposed to do. And that was to tell the other side of the story. And as much as they like to believe that the documentary was a failure, it was a huge success. As much as they want to say that Spare was a failure, it was even a greater success. It's the best thing that has happened to publishing in a long, long time. And people have noticed. So they don't have that to use against them anymore. William does not make a compelling case for his character, because every time you look at him, he's grimacing, right? Kate doesn't make the best case for her character because she's a mute woman. She is. She's a mute woman. She has nothing to say. She doesn't say much. So it's nothing to compare because she doesn't say much. All people know is that something happened with the Sussexes and the Cambridges. And we know it's believe me, and this goes for white people in the US too. There are more white people in this country that believe that race was an issue than there are white people that are in denial about it. This is the United States. Even if they won't admit that they know that it was something there, trust me, they know. They know. it's a whole different kind of thing. Black and white here is very different, and it's not unusual. I'll just say that it's not unusual. If you look at how these young people in the U.S. are calling out the war or the occupation or the genocide or the apartheid in Gaza, in Palestine, these young people are calling them out in numbers like I have never seen before. Do you think those same young people will listen to that nonsense from the tabloids and think it's gospel? No, they don't really have the I mean, I've seen a few of them on TikTok for sure, but not like they would hope. Not like they would hope. They don't have it. They don't have America like that. And that's why they keep pushing. That's why they keep trying to find some way to get a foothold and make people hostile and angry at the Sussexes. Oh, they went to a hockey game. Oh my goodness, they were dancing at a Beyonce concert. What? They had dinner on Fisherman's Wharf. I'm just making up stuff now. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. Joy Reid said it best when the other girl on MSNBC got fired, that other black lady that was on there. She said, "You don't understand how we move. You don't understand how we move." And that's just that. There's been a duality for the African American community in this country for a long time, where even if we're not saying, one way or the other, we have our thoughts and feelings like anybody else. But we understand, that racism is a constant. We've had to deal with it. And so we're not going to turn against another black person, even if we don't like their politics. That just doesn't happen. We don't do things by tribe and such. We've never been able to do that, So they don't get Americans, black or white, but in particular, they just don't get black Americans. It's rare to find somebody black that's going to go on British television and badmouth someone like that. Very rare. We know better. And I'll say this too. White folks in this country know better too, even if they don't admit it. They know better. They know better. They understand what's going on. Even if they won't defend, even if they won't stand up to it, they know racism when they see it. They're not buying this idea that the royal family was peaches and creams and a bowl of cherries. Nobody's buying that. Like Hillary said, of course it's racism. Hillary said, plain and simple, yeah, I'm not surprised. That's what she said. I'm not surprised. And she meant it. I'm not surprised. She didn't hesitate. She didn't try to, build up anybody or anything. She said, I'm not surprised. Sometimes Hillary don't have a filter. I'm not surprised. So there's Kate, Life Beyond the Candelabra. And I think she knows what's going on. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. This seating arrangement I find rather curious. I don't know that I've ever seen a state dinner with the thrones to the backs of the sovereign. The Queen, when they did that tour on the Thames for the Jubilee, and they put those two thrones at the front of the barge, and the Queen and Philip refused to sit on them.
The Queen got too much sense. Will and Kate would have sat on the thrones. Charles, I'm surprised he has the throne to his back. That may have been somebody else's idea. Maybe he's feeling insecure and feels like he needs that extra appearance of authority or whatever. But I'm surprised. I don't think I've ever seen the Queen sit at a state dinner with her back to the throne. The Queen rarely acknowledged a throne unless it was the opening of Parliament. She didn't fool with them. And of course, what's his name? Philip. They shied away from it. But William and Kate, let us not forget that they, in 2011 or 2012, when they went on their tour, they allowed natives to lift them up and carry them like it was some type of old Hollywood movie or something. Even Charles, I'm still trying to find a photo of Charles being carried by natives. I cannot find it. If you can find one, let me know. I still have not found it. Even Charles is not that stupid. William and Kate, they were smiling, clapping, grinning. Kate was like she was in Romper Room or something. She was just as amused and smiling and grinning while all those black people was carrying them. You haven't seen Charles do that. Will and Kate, they couldn't wait. Ooh, they couldn't wait. And there was nobody there to tell them different. Justice Siempre, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. So right here it says Meghan Markle, actress, campaigner, blogger, and then a duchess. Right? All of that came first. I just found this article earlier. All of that came first. And then take a look here on the right side. In 2015, Meghan Markle received a standing ovation from an audience, including the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, for a speech she made on International Women's Day. But Meghan should feel bad because she wasn't sitting at a state dinner wearing a tiara with nothing to say. She should feel bad. You know, I know, they know, everybody knows that if Meghan was at that dinner, that everybody would want some FaceTime with her. Everybody. Kate, not so much. Kate could have been there or not have been there. It did not matter. It didn't matter one bit.
Reasons Catherine is so popular amongst certain demographics, and I'm going to say older people and men, is because she says absolutely nothing. She's a good little girl who keeps quiet and doesn't tell.
In what world is there somebody who can't wait to speak to Kate Middleton? What alternative universes is there where somebody cannot wait to speak to Kate Middleton, where somebody says, what did Kate Middleton what did Kate Middleton say? Really? Did they ask Kate Middleton? Maybe we should run that by Kate Middleton. In what world does that happen? The only people that I can only think of that would ask a question like that is probably Ma and Pa Middleton. Oh, there's some bill collectors. I think there's some debt collectors at the door. Did anybody talk to Kate Middleton? Someone's putting posters up around Buckleberry demanding that we pay that debt. Huh? Did somebody speak to Kate Middleton? James's marshmallow business is starting to flounder. I guess people don't want marshmallows with swastikas on them. Oh, I hope somebody spoke to Kate Middleton. You guys, I know I don't need to remind you squatties about this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Her Majesty the Queen went to the Hub Kitchen. I think, did Charles go? I think everybody in the family had their turn about going to the to the Hub Kitchen, right? And of course, the Cambridges went to the Hub Kitchen. And then one day, Meghan goes to the Hub Kitchen and she's like, well, why can't you stay open? Really? We should do a cookbook. Yeah, we should do a cookbook. You know, it's that same kind of thinking, right? That let's take someone like, I don't know, Harry, who was on his way back from Afghanistan, and he's looking at a curtain blow open and he sees someone that's, you know, all bandaged up and sewn together. And he thought to himself, somebody ought to do something. That's how they think. When there was a shortage of vaccines, when there was a disparity in vaccines, they weren't pushing the vaccines, but they wanted to make sure that the developing nations, where there was not enough, the developing nations, the not so wealthy nations, if you will, that did not have access to the vaccines, they couldn't get the formula or the recipe from the pharmaceutical companies. They were fighting for vaccine equity. And so all they were told was, we're going to have the thing, and you know, and what happens? The Sussexes, they get on the phone, they get in all of these pledges and all of these people vowing to help. Who's on the phone? I'll take that call. When was the last time somebody said, oh my goodness, we're not going to survive this next fiscal season? Did anybody speak to Kate Middleton? What does Kate Middleton think? In what universe does that happen? None. It doesn't happen because she can't do anything. She's not going to do anything. She's not willing to do anything. She will show up and take her photos and she will leave. William will show up and say, well, you know, we can just smile and wave, but that's about all we can do. We're not able to do anything else. They don't have solutions.
I'm sorry we can only come and give words and comfort, but we are thinking about you the whole time and we really care about what's going on. So
sometimes it's got more than financial.
Well, if we can give you the odd smile here and there, that's important. So, you know. I'm sorry we can only come and give words and comfort, but we are thinking about you the whole time and we really care about what's going on. So
sometimes it's got more than financial.
Well, if we can give you the odd smile here and there, that's important. So, you know.
Now, if you don't mind, I have to get out of here because I got a plane to catch. I'm trying to get home so I can finish streaming Suits. I got to get out of here because Suits is on tonight. So all I got is a smile and a wave, but I got to go home and watch Suits. My sister-in-law is on. They don't do anything. I mean to tell you guys, I know I'm dragging this, and I mean dragging it out. I'm going on and on about it, but I'm just outraged by this idea that Meghan should feel bad. And I know she doesn't. You know she doesn't care either. But Meghan should feel bad because she wasn't sitting there wearing some Woolworth tiara
and sitting behind a candelabra. She has something to say. You may not always like it. It may not always be popular, but she has something to say. She will put herself out there to say what needs to be said. She always stands up for women. She's about female women empowerment, equity. That's been Meghan since the beginning. And that's who she's always been. And I don't think she gets enough credit for making it very clear when she went into that institution, I'm a feminist. She did not pretend that she was not a feminist. And that is one of the things that they were trying to break. They were trying to break her will about being a feminist. They didn't want her to be a feminist. They wanted her to be a robot. They wanted her to be a Stepford wife. And that was never going to happen. That was never going to happen. There won't be a day when Meghan's not going to stand up for other women. And they were trying to break that. I really believe they were trying to break that. And I remember one of those tabloid people saying, how is that going to work? How can you be in the institution and be a feminist at the same time? Now, very wisely, the Queen wanted to play on that. The Queen wanted that to be a part of Meghan's story. I do believe the Queen wanted that to be a part of her story. I don't think the Queen ever told her, don't feel that way. Don't do that. Don't say it. But the others, I believe that it was implied that you're not, and you're never going to be, not in this family. And right there, I think, was the first real big problem, aside from the race, was being a feminist. They did not want that. The same way nobody's cheering Charles and William about climate, nobody's cheering them in the government, because that Tory-led government does not accept climate change. But William and Charles were born into that family. So they will passively accept that without ever speaking of it, the government. But Meghan, that is her core belief, and you're not going to change it. If Harry had a problem with that, there would be no Meghan and Harry. That is her core, feminism. Fortunately, Harry is on board and feels the same way. Harry is for empowering everybody. So that's one of the things that they find so endearing with each other. But I think they wanted to change that. They wanted to make sure that it was understood. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. And I guess Meghan said, I guess we got a problem. I remember they were at one of those functions, and Meghan had told someone, they had mentioned feminism, and she said, yes, and he's a feminist too. Speaking of Harry. And of course, the tabloid seized that immediately. So if that's a problem, then keep your system, keep your monarchy, keep your little dank, dirty, nasty tiaras and your ermine cloth with mothball holes in them and stuff. You keep all that stuff. Keep your Order of the Garter, which sounds disgusting anyway. Keep it. We don't need that stuff. I guess we just have to stay stuck with being popular and loved and celebrated. Meghan Markle's wedding dress designer says pair have a very personal girlfriend relationship. See what I mean? See what I mean? Claire Wade Keller created the bespoke gown for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's 2018 wedding.
where it matters and where it counts. Wonder what kind of relationship Kate has with anybody that she's worn. What kind of relationship does she have with anybody whose clothing she's worn? Aside from them somewhere praying that she won't ever wear it again. What kind of relationship does she have? I can think of at least, let's see, 1, 2, 3, just off the top of my head. I think of at least 3, maybe 4. Yeah, I can think. I mean, not a public relationship, but that one dressmaker, the one who made that, the one with that jumpsuit with the black jumpsuit. I know she was really good friends with him, and of course, Claire Waight Keller, and then whatever relationship that she has with Dior. It's not a branding deal, but she has some relationship with them because it has moved over to Harry. And let's see. And of course, the Balonic shoes and the Aquazura. So yeah, she has some relations with somebody. But anyway, yeah, they're good girlfriends, right? So it says here, let me see there. It says Claire Waight Keller is reflecting on the experience of designing Meghan Markle's wedding gown. On Tuesday, the British designer participated in a panel at the 2023 Bazaar at Work Summit in London, where she opened up on what it was like preparing for former suit stars' big day. It was just a pleasure to create this very, very private. In this very, very private way. Waight Keller said of Markle's bespoke gown, it was just the two of us for so long, it became a very personal girlfriend relationship. All eyes were on the Duchess of Sussex as she wed Prince Harry on May 19, 2018 in St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. It was an extraordinary moment, she said. It was an incredible thing to be part of such a historic movement and, in fact, to have the opportunity to work with her. She added that creating a long sleeve gown was a very collaborative effort. Later that year, the wedding wardrobe of Meghan and Harry was put on display for the first time at the royal wedding of Duke and Duchess of Sussex exhibit at Windsor Castle. Oh, okay. I didn't know it was at Windsor. I thought it was at Kensington. Okay. The exhibit, which opened in October of 2018, featured firsthand accounts of the event, that is, from the Duke and Duchess themselves through personalized audio recordings. Meghan Markle opened up about wedding to Prince Harry. All I want was a mimosa and a croissant. Yes, all I wanted was a mimosa and a croissant. I wanted a female designer, and that was very important. I wanted a British designer because I wanted to embrace my new home in that way, Meghan said as she chatted to the exhibition curator, Carolyn DeGaunt, about the process of working with Waight Keller. I wanted a dress that felt reflective of the world in a way, she added. Okay. So okay, there we are. That is what was in the People magazine, but I think it's also the full story is in Harper's Bazaar. I think it was in Harper's Bazaar. Okay. So, and there they are. You might remember that fashion, was it a fashion award or something like that? When Meghan had the nerves to come out there with one arm, one shoulder out, as though no other royal woman has done that before. Not the Queen,
not Margaret, not Queen Alexandra. None of them have ever done that before. Okay, maybe not Queen Alexandra, but anyway, Meghan is the first woman in the royal family to have that over one shoulder gown on in the history of the royal family. That is, if you exclude Princess Diana, Mumbles, Queen Elizabeth, and so on, Princess Margaret, maybe even Afro Annie. You'd have to exclude all of them to get to that point. Meghan's wedding dress was very modest. The silhouette was timely. You could wear it any place at any time, and it will always look good. And I guess that was the point of it. Oh, yes, she had on the black nail polish, too. I almost forgot about that. I'm surprised they didn't haul her off to the tower. Yeah, that black nail varnish. And there's the gown. Crisp, clean, white gown. Beautiful. Perfect. Perfect. Nothing fussy about it. All of the detail, the obvious detail, was in the veil, representing all of the Commonwealth nations. And of course, I believe California was included. Lizette Zog, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for being here tonight and being a member of Royal Sussex. And of course, this moment. One of the things that Meghan wanted was, you see how you could just barely see the toe of the shoe? That is very Givenchy. That is very, very Audrey Hepburn. Yeah, so it's very much got that little peak of the tip of the shoe at the bottom, which is one of the things that Meghan wanted. What a beautiful moment. And a dress that anybody, any size can wear. You could wear it to any wedding. You know, in a proper cathedral wedding, or in most churches, they expect you to be a little modest. They don't want you wearing something that could double as a ball gown or something like that. They want you to cover your arms, cover your shoulders, that kind of thing. And so this definitely fills the bill. Just enough. Princess Kate still doesn't know how to exit a car without flashing people. Well, as you know, that was in the Celebity's webpage, but that's not what I wanted to show you. We were speaking yesterday about them saying there was something sewn into the hem of her cloak. If you look at the bottom there, you can see there is that odd shape at the bottom, like, you know, on her right side, which is to the left. At the bottom, it seems like there may be a Netflix camera hidden there. There may be millions of dollars of missing jewels that are hidden there. Maybe the tiara that she did not wear to the banquet is hidden there, but it does look like an odd shape. No, it's not weight. She ain't got enough sense to do that. She wouldn't wear them when the Queen was alive. She certainly ain't doing it now. But and again, I don't really care. But since that's the thing that we keep doing with the Sussexes, that they must, what was that? What's that little Fruit Loop? What's her name? This one, Angela Levin. Maybe they check their pockets. They probably had cameras in their pockets, and it was, you see, Meghan's a Hollywood actress, and it's always what she wants. Meghan get what she wants because she's a Hollywood actress, and there was cameras. That's what she said. When they went to see the Queen, when they did that ninja move to go see the Queen, she said, I hope they checked their pockets. They probably had cameras in their pockets. Next, she was going to say, did they have a camera in Archie's juice box? They probably had cameras in Archie's juice box. Yeah, you have to check Lilibeth's pram, that they may have cameras in her pram. Oh boy, but I tell you, one of these days we may or may not find out about that visit with the Queen. I'm kind of hoping we don't find out, but the nosy part of me is like, please produce a photo. Please produce a photo. But if there is a photo, that will probably wait for some time. I don't think we'll get that right away. It might be too soon. But please produce a photo of Archie, Lilibet, and Lilibet. Yes. Please. What if that's the Christmas card? A Christmas card that features Archie, Lily, Lizzie, Meghan, Harry, and for fun, let's throw Doria in there for fun. Oh my goodness, they would have a meltdown if that was the Christmas card. They would have a meltdown if that was the Christmas card. Connie Balmer! Hey, Connie Balmer. So, I think we're just about done, are we? Yeah, we're just about done. Got 2 more slides after this. So yesterday, Legs had asked for, it was Legs, right? Asked for a side-by-side of these two. So just sharing it for those that did not see it. The photo on the left is an AI photo, and it's actually kind of old. It's not a new photo, but ironically, it kind of reminds you of the more recent photo of Kate at the Windsor Castle. I'm sorry, at the Buckingham Palace. And then there's this. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it, but I made a video this afternoon featuring Cheryl Lee Ralph, and it was for her debut as Mrs. Claus. It's so cute. Wait till you see it. There you go. So I was working on that this evening. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, right. I didn't know that was the first Black Mrs. Claus. Have they ever had a Black Santa Claus? And lastly, this is the last slide, you guys. They said AI is going to be the death of us. They said AI is going to lead to the destruction of the world as we know it. Y'all getting too carried away with this AI. Now, what could they have possibly said to
to conjure up this image with the AI. Two very fly Mr. and Mrs. Clauses, right? But yeah, Zaddy Claus. Okay, Zaddy Claus. Zaddy Claus. Zaddy Claus is coming to town. Zaddy Claus is coming to town. Yeah, well, there you go. There's Zaddy Claus. That's cool. I mean, I've never pictured Mrs. Claus having an exposed midriff. And Zaddy Claus is sitting up there with some, is that vodka? Is that a bottle of vodka that he's got there? And wearing the, wait a minute. Look like Zaddy Claus got his nails did. Yeah, Zaddy Claus got his nails did. Huh. I tell you, the more you look at this, the more you see. Looks like Tyrone Claus. Tyrone. T. Claus. Tyrone. T. Roney. Oh, it's Ciroc vodka. Okay. Well, that's something somebody had put on the social media. So, of course, I saw it. I'm just like, oh, this is fun. This is fun. This is fly. Okay. So thank you all very much. As per usual, thank you, moderators, for keeping this a safe space. Thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Thank you all for your very thoughtful and kind and generous donations to Royal Sussex. And let's see. Thank you, Brown Girl, for 19 months membership. Audrey Teschner, Legs, Justice, Siempre, and Lizette Zog. And also thank you, MR, for the Cash App. Thank you all very, very much. It has been a pleasure as per usual. Please consider Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with Royal Sussex. That is our annual tradition, as well as the New Year's Eve marathon. That is also our tradition. So please consider those occasions to join us here at Royal Sussex, where we laugh a lot, we learn a lot, I hope. A little history, a little read, and some shade. All of those things. And of course, sometimes we reminisce about the old school this and old school that. That's always fun. Really? I did. You know, I was wondering where did that come from, the 80. I was wondering where did that come from? Now, it may be true. It may be true. I'd be hard pressed to believe it, but it could be true. There could be some health issues that we don't know about. But the same way that we wasn't expecting the Queen to ever take to Camilla, the same way we were never expected to say Queen Camilla, but just the Princess Consort. We wasn't expecting any of that, but it seems to have been some deals that were made. And now all of a sudden, there's ironclad protection for the sick old man, Andrew. There's what else? There's security for Andrew and everything. So yeah, he's all protected. And the Queen went on television herself and said, call her Queen Consort. And they weren't satisfied with that. Now it's just Queen Camilla. So yeah, none of that was supposed to happen. Every royal household in Europe
has that nagging question about the ascension to the throne. And so far, we know that Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands has stepped down in favor of her son. Juan Carlos of Spain stepped down in favor of his son. And let's see. We don't know about the Queen of Denmark. She may or may not do it. I kind of doubt she will, though, but she may or may not do it. So it is possible that they will cave and give in and decide it's better to step down, because people are living longer than they ever have before. It was such a great exception that people lived to old age in the past. The wealthy had a better chance, obviously, but it was an exception. But nowadays it's pretty common. So we won't have another Elizabeth, not for a long time. That was an isolated incident, very rare. I mean, it could happen, but a lot of circumstances would have to fall into place for something like that to happen. But Charles, if he stays, he runs the risk of being treated the same way he treated his mother. I would not want to suffer at the hands of William as a custodian for anything in this world. If William is impatient and reactive as the Prince of Wales, or even worse, his worst was as the Duke of Cambridge. If he was that petty at that point, imagine when he has no one to answer to, absolutely no one. It seems like Charles is afraid of him. So I don't know what could be done. I don't know what could be done. If Charles just looks like he's not able to function properly, he may not have a choice. He might have someone go regent on him without his consent. Yeah, so that's bad. That's bad. Thank you, God, for getting the Sussexes out of that country before William took the throne. Thank you for getting them out of harm's way before William took that throne, because you cannot trust him. You cannot trust him. I know, Charles is the devil we know. We know Charles is indecisive and petty, but William, oh my God. That would be a pitiful thing. That would be a pitiful thing. Because he got a problem. He got a problem. I don't know if it's that scar over his left eye. I don't know if it's just, his natural temperament or what. But he got a problem. Something wrong with him. He cray-cray. Let's see. They came at Meghan like a beast. That's how desperate they were to get rid of her. They went nuclear, and she knew exactly what was happening and took her man and baby and ran. They did that. Yeah. Yeah, that scar, Lauren, that scar. It looked like something that would change your personality, if you ask me. I mean, if you haven't not heard about it, go ahead and look it up. Ever since I found out about it, I cannot stop thinking about it. I really cannot stop thinking about it. But yeah, better to get away from that family than to endure that abuse. No tiara is worth it. And in terms of doing public service, doing universal service, you can do that anywhere. You could do that anywhere. It's just like they say, if you want to exercise, all you need is a pair of shoes. It don't take anything to walk. If you are hungry, cook something or make a meal. If you want to do public service, if you want to do goodwill, just find somebody who needs help. It's just that simple. You don't have to be in that family to do it. Oh, Fierce is a bitter beast. Yeah, yes, she is. Yeah, she's petty. She's as petty as they come. Vargas, thank you so much for the super sticker and thank you for being here tonight. Yes, Andrew Fierce. Andrew Fierce. Not to be confused with Andrea Fierce, the famous character from that movie, Andrea Fierce. Not to be confused with that other famous movie called Mildred Pierce, starring Joan Crawford. But yeah, Andrew Pierce, no, not Pierce, Pierce, not to be confused with Andrea Fierce. It's not wise to confuse those ladies, people, persons. Not wise to confuse them. Oh, man. Who takes time to do something like this? Oh, I know I did that. I have been fascinated by those cheekbones. Those cheekbones, there's something fascinating about them. I'm not sure what it is. I'll say this much. My rear tires are under less pressure. Yeah, that's what fascinates me. My rear tires are under less pressure. Hello to you, Josie. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Connie Bomber. Connie, how long have you been here? I didn't even notice that you were here until just now. Well, a few minutes ago. Oh, yeah. And hey, Archie's auntie. Hello to you too, Monte Cristo. Vita. Vita, I've given you everything, anything you want, anything money could buy. But that wasn't enough for you, was it? Now get out of here. I want you and your things out of this house before I throw you out and your stuff with it too. Do you hear me? Get out of here before I... That's that famous line from the movie Mildred Pierce. Mildred Pierce's famous line to Vida. Let me see here. I'm trying to find that speech. But her daughter was mean. She say, you think just because you made a little money, you can get a new hairdo and some expensive clothes and turn yourself into a lady. But you can't, because you'll never be anything but a common frump whose father lived over a grocery store and whose mother took in the washing. Did you guys ever see that movie, Mildred Pierce? That's what Vida told her mother. By the time her mama went upside her head, she deserved it. I was cheering for her. The mama, that is. Let me see. I'm trying to find the part where she told her to get out. Vita say, with this money, I can get away from you and your chickens and your pies and your kitchens and everything that smells of grease. I can get away from this shack with its cheap furniture and this town with its dollar days and the women who wear uniforms and the men that wear overalls. Vita had a very big mouth, didn't she? Let me see. You've been snooping around since I got this job, trying to find out what it is. And now you know, don't you? Maybe I should have been an actor. Yeah, maybe I should have been an actor. I'm looking at all the famous lines from the movie, but I can't find the one where she told her to get out. Let's see here. I don't see it. By the way, I'm not looking at the chat right now. I'm looking at the movie lines. I'll be right back. And I'm done, you guys. So if you need to say goodnight, please do so. Don't hang around and stay up too late. Well, I see everything but that little speech about the what do you call it, where she told her to get out. Let me see. Mildred Pierce tells Vita to get out. Okay, tells Vita to go. Huh. Nope, don't see it. Oh, that was a good movie, though. If you guys haven't seen it, you got to see Mildred Pierce. Let me see. Oh, Monte Cristo says, pretty soon more people are going to ask why we use tax dollars to pay. Oh, I cannot believe this is still on the screen. I'm so sorry. Oh, that's even worse. Let me put this up. There we go. Because let me see. Be careful what they wish for. They're exposed. Yeah, Monte Cristo, that is so true. They are exposed. They are exposed. The more they try to go after the Sussexes, the more they expose themselves. Yeah, the more they go after the Sussexes, the more they are exposing themselves. Speaking of expositions, did you guys hear about oh, never mind.
Speaking of expositions or exposure, she said, Vita, give me that letter. Oh, no, give me that check. She had that check. She pretended like she was pregnant and they bought her off with a check. Yeah, Vita was tough. Vita was tough. That was a good movie. Okay, so how many of y'all still here? 1,239. Good night, y'all. Good night. I can't believe y'all just sitting around listening to me quote movie lines. You're stronger than me because I think my delivery is pretty bad. You think because you made a little money and get a new hairdo, you can get some expensive clothes and turn yourself into a lady. But you can't, because you'll never be anything but a common frump whose father lived over a grocery store and whose mother took in the washing. Well, no wonder Mildred Pierce had to go upside her head. Let me see. I see everything but the best lines. And that was when she told her to get out of the house. She says, I've bought you anything you ever wanted, anything money could buy, but that wasn't enough for you, was it? Oh, thank you, official Lauren Brown. I got to find the one where she, okay, let me see. Let me see. Mildred Pierce, okay, no, not the pies. Let me see. Mildred Pierce, Get Out. Nope, that's not it. They say, is it based on a true story? You know, the actual novel, Mildred Pierce, is so much darker than the movie, which is hard to believe. But the movie barely scratched at the surface. And of course, there was no homicide in the movie. I mean, in the book, but they put one in the movie. They turned the movie into a film noir because they were popular at the time. And it worked. I mean, it worked. But people were saying that the book was so terrible that you couldn't actually, well, not terrible, but it was so weird that you could never make a movie out of it. But they were able to do it. And that's because they fiddled around with the storyline and threw a homicide in there. She said, get out before I kill you. She said that's her own daughter. She said, get out, Vita. Get your things out of this house right now before I throw them out on the street and you with them. Get out before I kill you. And Vita was like, okay, mother, don't worry about me. I'll be okay. Let me see. Still don't see it. Oh, well. I didn't like that Wally in the movie. Her mother bought her that dress. She didn't like it. She said, it's a dress. It's awfully cheap material. I can tell by the smell. And her sister said, what did you expect? You want it inlaid with gold? And Vita says, well, it seems to me if you're buying anything, you should buy the best. It's definitely not the best. Oh, she was so cruel to her mother. Oh, well, I don't see that one. All right, let me get back over to the chat. TMCD, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Let's see. TB says, Baron, do you know of any holiday charities you can support, special for the Sussexes? You know, won't that come out with their Christmas card, perhaps? But if they don't have a card by now, it seems like they won't have one. But what do you rest of y'all think? I think that they will go. They'll. Let's wait and see if they do something. You know, if they go somewhere or do something before December, like within the next week or whatever. And then let's take it from there, because that is a good idea. I would like to support something that they're supporting for Christmas. But they'll do something. I'm so sure they're going to do something for the holiday. Oh, Lauren, it was weird in that in the movie, in the book, and in the movie, Mildred was obsessed with Vida. She wanted Vida to have the finest of everything. The other daughter was a bit of a tomboy, so she wasn't so particular. But Vida only wanted the best. And one of the big motivations, without spoiling the movie, of course, one of the big motivations for Mildred to make a success out of herself is because of the things that Vida was saying about her and the way that Vida felt. Vida had champagne taste in beer bottle pockets. And Mildred, who wasn't altogether, unaware, but at the same time, she was having problems with with her husband, with Vida's father, because it just seemed like he wouldn't work. And he couldn't find a good job. Nobody could find a good job. And yet, in the post-war era, was it post-war? Yeah, I think it was post-war. Mildred Pierce becomes incredibly successful. And it seemed like no matter what she did, it was never good enough for Vida. And that's why Vida said the thing about, whatever you do, I could still smell chickens and pies and all that kind of stuff, because she looked down upon her mother. She frowned on her mother, no matter what her mother did, because Vida wanted to be part of the 1%. She wanted people to think that they came from a certain type of family, and they just were not. And that's where the problems were. And then eventually, for whatever reason, it was just the two of them at the house. And
And it was just the two of them at the house, and Vida and her mother. And then her mother met this guy, Monty, who could give the family the respectability that they so desired. And it was just a disaster. Yes, yes. Okay, now in the actual book, Mother's obsession was so much more disturbing than in the movie, which is why some people said that it could never be adapted to a film because it would take too much away from the book. And it did, although it didn't completely ruin it, but it was just not the version of the story that the author had wrote. Now, they do have a modern version of Mildred Pierce with the girl from Titanic, which is more in line with the book. It doesn't really stray. There's no homicide in the modern version, which is, I think, was it a miniseries compared to the old movie with Joan Crawford? But yeah, there was a psychology going on there, and it was strange. It was very strange. The book shocked people. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. What is that? Huh, got me. I don't know anything about that. Vita was good. Vita, Blythe Danner, or whatever her name is, she really played that character. Boy, she was good. She was really, really good. Loved it. Let's see. Monte Crystal says, love this short video. Oh, thank you. I was done at Tights Kate Ward to the military event. If Meghan had done that tight thing, they went bonkers on her shorts at the sports event. Yeah. Yeah. Kate has been pulling these stunts for a long time. And I really do believe that at some point it's been like a joke with the Cambridges that, that she was doing that stuff. But maybe it's just that one thing that no matter how much William barks, he cannot control that side of things. And maybe just his display of disapproval is as much as he's able to do. It's kind of hard to say. But she was doing that while the Queen was alive. And then after a while, she finally stopped. But on at least, I'm just going to go maybe 10 different occasions where she had gone too far. And it just did not make sense. It did not make sense, the exhibition that was going on. The Queen was on the throne 70 years. I don't think we ever saw her knickers. None of the other royal households, I don't think we've ever seen so much. But Kate comes there in 2011, and you can't stop seeing it. You close your eyes, it's there. You open up the refrigerator, it's there. Whatever you do, it's still there. You cannot not see it because she won't let you. Yeah, I love watching the old interviews with Joan Crawford, Betty Davis, I've watched at least one interview with, of all people, Mae West. Mae West was a genius. Gosh, that woman was brilliant. Yeah, she was brilliant. When Mae West died, her estate was like $40 million. And we're talking about 40 million, what, 1980s money? 40 million? But she was loaded. She was loaded. And believe it or not, she made her money from real estate. Mae West invested heavily into real estate. And when she was making pictures, she was looking at some of the dialogue and swore she could do much better. And so she was given the ability to write her own scripts. She had to approve all the scripts. And even if she didn't write most of it, she had to have the copyright or have her credit for it, which brought more payment for it. So she was the highest paid for just a few years, but still she was the highest paid. And what I really, 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 really loved was when she owned that boxing contract for that one black boxer, and she had told him to come over, and the people that owned the hotel, it was owned by one of the studios, the management said, oh, you can't have visitors like that, meaning that if he wasn't cleaning or serving, he could not be in the building. If he didn't work there, he couldn't be there. He could not come to a white woman's house as an invited guest. And so her next response was, how much is the building? And then she bought it. She lived at that Ravenswood Hotel for like 40 years. She purchased the building and lived on the top floor in a very modest apartment. It wasn't like two apartments combined. It wasn't the biggest apartment in the building. It was just an apartment. But yeah, she was very, very good with her money. And she was very good to the people that were good to her. Athena, thank you so much for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. 46,000 subscribers. But yeah, I love the old interviews. You learn so much about a lot of things. You can learn so much from those. You think so? Jose, now that you say that, that does kind of make sense, because she could be free of it. Because you have to wonder, who wants that? Really, who wants that? Who wants that? This girl has been living or existing in that system for what, 12, 13 years now? She has been stifled. And while she's young enough to enjoy her old life, maybe she does want out of it. Maybe it is a provocation. Maybe she wants Charles to say, you know what? But then you still have to consider they do have children. And, how bad could things be that she would want to cause that kind of stress for her children? But you have to remember, though, Kate doesn't come from a broken home. William comes from a broken home. Kate does not know the life of a broken home. But William, unfortunately, he does. He couldn't even look to his grandparents for guidance because they lived their own separate lives. Huh, interesting. That is very, very interesting. Well, and let's see, William's parents, grandparents on his mother's side, broken home. Yeah. A child of divorce. I wonder what they'll do for the next Princess of Wales. I wonder what they'll do next time. Will they want someone who has a voice? Will they want another mannequin? Will they try to get something in between? What is the next act for the crown prince or princess? It'll be interesting to find out exactly how they try to navigate their way into the next generation of the heir with George, or I say it's going to be what's her name, Charlotte. I say there's going to be another Queen Charlotte. I don't think George has the temperament for it. I really don't. If I maybe at that time they will do an assessment before they give that position, or should I say before the position just goes to the next person. William was not suitable for it, and I don't believe that it suits George's personality. He is a child. I'm not coming for him. I just don't think it suits his personality. I felt hurt and afraid for him based on what I've seen so far. He looks like his father. He appeared with the same type of body language that his father had at the same age. And it makes me afraid for him. So I would say that out of the three kids, it's none of my business. I'm not coming for these kids. They're kids. I'm not picking on anybody. But out of the three kids, if I had to say temperamentally suitable for it, Charlotte. Charlotte is as cool as a cucumber around the press, right? And Charlotte is, she's made of the right stuff from what I can see. It doesn't seem to intimidate her. So if they were wise and they were to choose based on temperament, I would say they should look at Charlotte. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, that goes without saying. This is the modern world, and it does not seem to be a place for monarchy anymore, at least not that type of monarchy, not where you can inherit a dead person's property type of monarchy. But if it survived 1,000 years, it could easily survive 1,000 more. We may not ever live to see anything else. So while it's here, it's here. And it ain't my problem because I don't have to live with it. But it is part of the geopolitical landscape. The royal family tends to give legitimacy to tyrants, despots, and I don't even know what that is, but despots, all kind of people that don't deserve it. But they're there, and they are a factor, and they are a way of life for some, and they are part of a much larger pyramid. So in in order to save themselves, I wouldn't rule out the idea that they would do exactly what I just said. And that is take an assessment before there's an assumption about who's going to be the next sovereign. They could always change the rules. They've done it before. They have done it before. Yeah, Hazel Jones, God, let's hope they don't do that. Let's hope they don't have someone sit on television and say that this person is a virgin and they're perfect and we gotta, I remember that I was hearing that guy say on television that Diana's a virgin and that's been proven. And I was like, oh God, that's tacky. That is tacky. Well, I mean, it could go either way. I mean, maybe at some point, because if I see it and other people see it, maybe now they have the ability to intervene and do something about it. I mean, so far it doesn't leave much of an impression, but maybe they'll change something and do something about it where you don't have to change the rules or you don't have to try to leapfrog to the next person. But like I say, it ain't my problem. Best of luck to them all. Abolish the monarchy. Everybody go home. Yeah, they could just abolish the monarchy. There will still be a royal family without monarchy. You can still have a royal family without monarchy. Having them accepting 350 million pounds a year is not necessary. The Spanish royal family gets on with about a fraction of that. I think the Spanish royal family cost about 7 million euro a year or 10 million euro, whatever it is. You can do it for less. They choose to do 350 million pounds. They choose it, but they don't have to. And at some point, just like the Queen started paying income tax, they may have to abandon their principles and relinquish some of the control that they have. I think for the older generation, what gives strength to the monarchy is that every time a democracy with a duly elected head of state, every time a democracy fails, or every time a democracy is on the brink, like with Trump, every time that happens, they get the luxury of saying, well, I mean, after all, look at how things are in America. And that's a compelling case for people who have known nothing but abundance since World War II. But the younger generation, they may never, ever have the ability to buy a home. So that part of the monarchy, the loyalists, the royalists, they're losing royalists, not just by death, not because people are dying, older people are dying. They're losing support because the young people don't accept it as legitimate. They don't accept it as necessary. They just don't accept it. They don't see a reason for it. They would rather have an elected head of state. A certain demographic wants an elected head of state. And if there is ever enough embarrassment caused to that institution, then an elected head of state is what they're going to get. They just haven't asked for it yet, but they will. They are going to, and they will. At some point in the future, since the veil has been lifted and people are seeing how much this system costs and how little they benefit from it. I remember Nicholas Witchell. Nicholas Witchell, remember that guy from BBC? He said that the Queen steadies the nerves of the nation during times of trouble, during times of peril, that the Queen steadies the nerves. You know what steadied my nerves during the global pandemic? It was called a STEMI, a economic stimulation check. That steadied my nerves like you wouldn't believe. That steadied my nerves to the point where I was eating sushi at least once a week. I ordered groceries to keep myself safe. I added more streaming services. That steadied my nerves like a you know what. My nerves were so steady, I didn't have a care in the world. As long as I didn't have to leave this house, I was okay. I didn't need the Queen to steady my nerves. I was just fine. All I could think about was when is that next check coming? So I heard what what Nicholas Witchell was saying, but I was just like, that's because they ain't got no stimmy. You give them a stimmy, they won't want to be bothered with the Queen. Yep. The Queen steadies the nerves of the nation during times of peril. Just send me my check. Just send me my check. But yeah, he said that. You know how sometimes he would talk and he would have that one eye closed? You know what I mean? He had that one eye closed when he was talking. Like he was really saying something serious. Just give me my stimmy. Nicholas Witchell. I was so glad when he retired. When they were saying that somebody had gotten in trouble for doing something inappropriate at the BBC, I was praying it was him. But it was somebody else, somebody I had never even heard of. I'm trying to see if I can find that video when he said the Queen steadies the nerves. I'm like, this is a root. This is a straight up root. The Queen steadies the nerves of the nation during times of peril. And I'm just like, they pay this man to say that. Huh, I cannot find it. But yeah, he said that on BBC. He said the Queen steadies the nerves of the nation during times of trouble. They always can turn to the Queen. I can understand that though. I can understand what he's saying. I'm sure for some people that's exactly how they feel, and that's okay. That's okay. I don't have to live with it though. Like they said after Diana died mysteriously in that tunnel in Paris, that the ma'am, show us you care. You know, that meant something to people. I don't want to take that belief away from anybody. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. Yeah, if that steadies your nerves. But I don't want words. I want a stimmy check. Send me my money. That stimulation check, that's all the steadying of the nerves I need. You send me that stimmy, and I'm going to put some money down on a new car. That's what my nerves do. Put some money down on a new car. Get that Tesla I wanted. All I need is that stimmy. Words and deeds. I'll take the deed for 100, Alex. Baron, during times of peril, in order to steady the nerves, what steadies your nerves? What is a stimulation check? That's correct. I thought so. You steady my nerves with that stimmy. Yep. Blame it on the bank. Blame it on the currency exchange. Blame it on the Tesla dealer. Blame it on the stimulation check. Blame it on the stimmy check. Yeah, I was sitting up here eating sushi once a week when I got that stimmy check. I got tired of eating sushi. Every time I belch, my breath smelled like sushi because I had that stimmy check. Right? These are the good old days. These are the good old days. Boom, 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 boom. Yep, I was sitting up there singing about that check. We may never know about the times we had, but we think about them anyway. A stimulation check is making me wait. Is making me wait. Yeah, I was sitting up there singing stimulation. Oh man, those were the good old days. I will look back on that time when the government paid me to take a vacation. Could you imagine that? The government paid everybody to take a vacation. Life is good. We were paid to stay home. We were paid to take a vacation. It was like a dream, wasn't it? Yep, it was like a dream. Like they were printing money. Well, they were printing money. And I feel sorry for the younger generation because they won't live to pay that debt. And I won't live to pay it either. So good luck, young generation. Thank you for the sushi. Oh, boy. Oh, well. I mean, I hated that people were, sick or worse, but I mean, that was the reason why it happened. So I'm not happy about that, but I was happy for that paid vacation. Here, here, Reba Henderson. Here, here. Yeah. Paid vacation. I have been lucky that I have been able to take time off from work and still have a roof over my head. But for people who had never had that luxury, I was happy for them. I really was. Um, there's a lot of people, and you know how I am about that, but there's a lot of people who work very hard and get so little from their employers. Um, in particular, I was glad that they could take some time off. I really was. I mean, even if I would have had to continue working, I would have just had to work. But there was some people that I was so glad that for the first time in their life, they had some money in the bank. You know what I mean? Not everybody has had that. Not everybody's been able to do that. So yeah, they deserve to have that time. They deserved it. Just too bad it was a global pandemic. But um for some people they got what they deserved anyway. And that was some paid time off from work because people in this country work extremely hard. Let's see. Kellyanne Phillips says, true, sometimes it makes me laugh until I cry. Sometimes I feel conviction for laughing at blunders and he makes up a song. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got a wild imagination sometimes. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Helen says, okay, yeah, I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say it. I was thinking that. It's a cruel system. It's a cruel system, if for no other reason, but people live so much longer nowadays. People live much longer than they did just 100 years ago, and so you could be in a very anxious situation for a long time if you're a member of the royal family without any relief of any kind. And one of the things that they're good at in that system is putting pressure on people, breaking your spirit, weighing you down with obligations and guilt and such. They're very adept at that. I mean, poor Princess Margaret wanted to marry the man she was in love with, but because of all the pressure, she was afraid to step away from her titles and from her money and privilege. Where else would she ever be that privileged? She was afraid to walk away from that privilege. And I do believe that there's a lot of people who think that Harry honestly has lost his mind for not wanting that, because they have grown up believing that that is necessary and that is worth fighting for. So Harry has said 1,000,001 times, I don't like London. I don't want to be king. I don't like the family. I don't like this. I don't like that. I hate the press. And still, they're convinced that he has been hypnotized, or that a gang of psychologists in a gang of psychotherapists in California has taken him over. I think the implication is that he is part of that they believe he's in some type of cult or something, rather than accept the fact that he never wanted that life. That life is the reason why his mother is not here. That's compelling enough. That is compelling enough. My mother was driven out of the family and literally lost her life because of the family. My mother was groomed from a young age to marry into this family and got no support. And I should want to stay here as if. And William doesn't want to be there either. William does not want to be there. But he really has no choice. There's really no mechanism for him to leave, and he does not have any talent to be away from it. The only thing that he will ever have going for him is the order in which he was born, and that's it. Nobody's ever going to love him for who he is or what he does. He has the temperament of a car wreck. So the only thing he's got going for him is the throne, and that's it. Which is plenty for some people, but not enough for most, I believe. Oh, you mean when he stuck his little fist in her mouth? When he tried to wring her neck? When he jumped up on her shoulder and started acting like he was playing the drum? That video? I exaggerate, of course, but yeah, I understand. Yeah, Lydia, I don't think that it's just, hate for Meghan. I don't think it's just disappointment for Harry. I believe that some of those people seriously think that you would have to be mental to not accept the trappings of that family. You would have to have a huge problem to not want it. When was it George III? Let's see, the first Duke of Sussex did not want that life, but he had no way of leaving it because that was what he was born into. He couldn't just go and be a commoner somewhere. He needed the security of the family. He needed the security of his position. So there was no out, which made him pretty much comparable to most educated, rich, well-groomed women at the time, because if it was hard for a man to leave that, it was impossible for a woman to leave. You'd have no place to go. You would be ruined. You would ruin yourself, as they say. That's the language they use. You would ruin yourself. So if a man could not deal with it, then he could still have something. But for women, there was nothing. Like Queen Charlotte said, if she was born a man, then she would have had a very different and probably more fulfilling life. I don't know the exact words, but because she was born a woman, she was expected to marry well. Your only lot in life is marry well. For a man, at least you could probably be a merchant prince or something like that, if at all possible. But for a woman, whoever you married would own your money, would own you, essentially. Whoever you married would take over your finances. Go out, get drunk, gamble it, and you'll be broke all over again. So it was either stay single and hopefully, you can earn some money doing something. But if you are single, then there's the stigma of not being married as a well-educated, woman from a certain family. You just had to marry. Otherwise, you were the old maid. You were the spinster. So just, that they didn't have options then. Nowadays, you have options. Nowadays, you can do other things. That Harry would want to be in a barracks, in a war zone, and feel safer than in Kensington Palace at that knot cot, or in Clarence House. That speaks volumes for that family. Oh, Antoinette Kennedy, yeah. Oh my God, 3.5 hours. Bye, y'all. The last time I looked up, it was 2.5 hours. Did somebody roofie me? Oh my God, it's 2 a.m. I gotta go. And it's, I was looking and I'm just like, well, when it gets to about 800 people, then I know they done. What's wrong with y'all? Is it really 3.5 hours? Yeah, I gotta go. What in the world am I talking about? Well, I still got my clothes on, so I know nothing weird happened. But at least I know nothing weird happened. But in spite of that, I'm fixing to go. So love you guys. I will see y'all tomorrow. The last word is I'm fixing to go. I am going to play, what is that? Once Upon a Time. And then I am going to skedaddle. I cannot believe it's been 3.5 hours. Where am I at here? Is this it?